Hello, in this video we're going to look at the Kansas Keno Lottery brochure and highlight some of the errors and the statistical calculations on it. Now in this video we're going to give a heuristic argument of why the numbers are wrong and point you back to my YouTube channel, Statistics Matt. There's a playlist called Combinatorial Results, and I have a 6-part mini-series on the Missouri Keno Lottery, and here we point out the how to actually calculate these probabilities. We give the equations and etc. In this video we're just going to heuristically talk about it. So to play Keno, you pick 1 to 10 numbers, and so we're only going to focus on what they call the 10 spot game to keep the video at a good length. So we pick 10 numbers, we bet $1 or whatever we want to bet, but we're just betting $1. Then the computer randomly picks 20 numbers. Then we compare our 10 numbers and the computer generated numbers, and we see how many we match. And then based upon how many we match, we win a certain number of prizes. So in the 10 spot game, if we match 0, we win $5. We match 5, we win 1. We match 6, we win 10, and etc. Now notice if we match 1, 2, 3, or 4, we don't win a prize. Now in the Keno Lottery, they also have what's called a Bullseye option. So if you play Keno with the Bullseye option, then what happens is we choose our 10 numbers, computer randomly generates the 20, and then of that 20, of the 20 numbers, it randomly picks one of those to be the bullseye. So then if we match a certain number of numbers against the computer's 20 numbers and match the bullseye, we win an additional amount of money. And that's what this column represents. And so if you match if you match a bullseye, no matter what match you have, you win money. Now, an interesting point here though is if we play base casino without the bullseye option, there's certain probabilities to be in this column. For instance, the probability that you match 7, you win $50. Now this is regardless if you match the bullseye or not, because you didn't play it. So there's certain probabilities associated with it. Now when you choose to play the bullseye option, to be in this first column, you have to have a certain number of matches and not match the bullseye. So the probabilities are now less to be in this column than they were versus the base casino when you didn't play the bullseye option. Now this column here, the probability that you have a certain number of matches and match the bullseye, that goes in this column. Now what are wrong are the numbers here. So the overall odds is 1 in 9/5, and so I'm assuming they're referencing the overall odds of winning base casino. And then here it says the overall odds are 1 in 8, so I'm assuming they want that to represent the overall odds of winning Keno Bullseye. And of course they have that for every spot game you want to play, but we're going to focus on the 10 spot game. And these numbers, every one of them in every spot game, is not correct. And I have an Excel spreadsheet here that I'm going to highlight some of the issues. So let's look at the base casino first and the 10 spot game. Here are the prizes you can win playing Kansas Lottery, and here are the certain matches. Now the probability of a match follows what's called a hypergeometric distribution. So the probability that you match 0, so you pick 10 numbers, the computer picks 20, the probability that you match 0 of them is this number. Now notice that the probability that you win, you have to pick the numbers, the probabilities that are associated with winning, which are these, a match of 0, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if you add these numbers up, that's the probability of winning base casino. Now if you take the reciprocal of that probability, which is called chances in 1, you get 9.05. And what this represents is roughly every 9.05 games you expect to win base casino. Now, the odds of a win is what's called a ratio. So you take the probability of winning and divide it by the probability of losing, and that's the odds. And here it is 1 in 8.05. Now notice, look at the Keno Lottery brochure. It says the overall odds is 1 in 9.05. See, this is not odds. This is your chances in 1. This represents every 9.05 games you expect to win in base casino, right? So they either need to update the overall odds to say chances in 1 or put in 1 in 8.05, which is what this column represents. Now, notice here that the expected return on a $1 bet in Kansas is 53 cents. So every dollar you play, you expect to win 53 cents back on average. Now, this with the multiplier option, some states have what's called a multiplier option, and Kansas doesn't, so we're not going to review that. This is discussed in my previous videos when we looked at Missouri Keno Lottery. It should be noted that in Missouri, your expected return is around 60 to 62 cents, so you win roughly 10 cents per dollar more if you play Missouri Keno Lottery versus Kansas Keno Lottery. Now let's look at the Bullseye option, and here we're playing the 10-spot game. Of course, we're only going to focus on that to keep this video at a okay length. Here are the prizes based upon the number of matches. Now we can calculate what I'm calling are conditional probabilities. You know, the probability that you win a prize in this first column is the probability that you match a certain number of spots and don't match the bullseye. That's what this column represents. It's a conditional probability that you don't match the bullseye. Now, to be in this bullseye column and win the additional money, you have to have a certain number of matches and match the bullseye. So that's this conditional probability column. Now notice here that the probability that you have 0 matches and you match the bullseye is 0, right? You don't have any matches, so you can't match the bullseye. So, but if you look at their game here, it says if you match 0, you win $5 playing the bullseye option, which you win $5 for being in this column, not this column. Okay, so let's keep going here. So I'm going to move over, and we're going to ignore the prizes. So we're going to assume that you understand that, and I'm going to move over so we can see this. So now to look at the conditional probabilities. So the conditional probability that you win Keno Bullseye and don't match the bullseye, that's this column here. So you have to sum these probabilities, which is you have a certain number of matches and you don't match the bullseye. That's 9%. So you have a 9% chance of winning Keno Bullseye and not match the bullseye. Take the reciprocal. That's the chances in 1, which is 10.69. So roughly a little over every 10 games, you're going to win Keno Bullseye and not match the bullseye. Take the reciprocal of the probability of win divided by probability of losing, and that you have the odds of 1 in 969 of winning Keno Bullseye and not matching the bullseye. Now to be in this column, remember that's the probability of a match and you match the bullseye. So really, if you sum these probabilities, you get 12.5%. So 12.5% chance of winning Keno Bullseye and matching the bullseye. You take the reciprocal, you get a chances in 1 of 8. You look at the ratio of the probability of win divided by the probability of lose, you get an odds of 7, or 1 in 7. Now notice this 8 right here. When I flash back to the Keno Lottery, that's what they put in here. So it says overall odds of 1 in 8, but this is actually the chances in 1s of conditionally winning Keno Bullseye and matching the bullseye. Now, if you as a player want to know your overall chances or the odds in winning Keno Bullseye, there's no number here that represents that. Okay, that's this number. Okay, so the probability of winning Keno Bullseye is the sum of these probabilities plus the sum of these probabilities, and that's this. So you have a 21.8 chance or 21.9% chance of winning Keno Bullseye. If you take the reciprocal, you get a chances in 1 of 4.7 or 4.58. So roughly every 4.5 games, you should expect to win Keno Bullseye. The odds of winning Keno Bullseye is 1 in 3.58. That's the ratio of winning Keno Bullseye divided by the probability of losing. Winning divided by losing. And notice here the expected return on a $2 bet is $1.07, so roughly 53 cents. So on average, you're winning 53 cents on the dollar. Okay. Now, so when we look at the brochures, first of all, it says odds, and let's just look at the first column on a few of those. It says odds, and they really should say chances in 1, because that's your chances in 1 of winning base casino. But all these numbers here in the bullseye column, those numbers are the chances in 1 of winning Keno Bullseye and matching the bullseye. It's a conditional probability that they're putting here. It's not the overall, it's not the overall odds or overall chances in 1 or the overall probability of winning Keno Bullseye. It's the conditional probability. And that are the statistical calculations that are in error on the Kansas Keno lottery ticket. All right, well, that's all I have for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I sure did. Please like the video and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Thanks. Bye.